Well, good afternoon, guys, and welcome to Mount Ka'ala. This is the highest point on the island of Oahu, getting up to over 4,000 feet in elevation, and I'm actually really surprised I'm up here. I thought for sure I wouldn't be making it up here this trip. It's just too hard of a hike to do alone. And I thought even if I did, there's no way I'd be making a video and the conditions just be too wet and rainy. And but we are a bit wet. My camera is working fine so far, so fingers crossed it doesn't end up breaking. But you're right, there's a lot of really cool native species here that you can't find elsewhere on the islands, or if they are, we're only in ever high up, isolated cloud forest like this right here. So let's jump right into it. This plant you see right here is, you know what? I thought it'd be Metrosideros polymorpha, the Ohialahua, but it actually looks more like Metrosideros rugosa, at least a little bit. It has very, wow, it's getting kind of rainy. This is really jinxing it here by saying the conditions will be fine to film, but it's got very rugose leaves. It has hairy undersides that are kind of orangish, which is actually a feature of the species. I thought it only was in the Kolokolo Mountains, the other major mountain range in Hawaii, or sorry, Oahu. The one we're in being the Waianae Mountains, but I guess maybe you can find it here as well. We also have this cool plant here. This is a native one, not an endemic, though it is really not found much else, only really in the Marquesas and a few other islands in the South Pacific. This is Styphelia tameiameiae. It's a member of the family Ericaceae, the blueberry family, which actually has quite a few representatives in Hawaii, some which are endemic. Really good family all around, I think. Okay, I gotta be really careful here because it's actually starting to rain now, and I really hope it stops. This plant right here, you'll probably see fairly commonly. This is Broussaisia arguta, actually an endemic genus, endemic monotypic genus to the islands. It's a member of the family Hydrangeaceae, which is not one I ever talked about before. I don't think I've ever seen any hydrangeas in Utah naturally. Some people are actually starting to place the genus Hydrangea, and I really dislike that because I think it's so cool, and I really want to believe that Hawaii has an endemic, more endemic genus or genera rather than less. This plant, I don't know. I'll try and figure it out. It's got leaves in whorls of 3 or 4 actually. Wow, I'm really misspeaking a lot here. Well, I mean, some of them are in 3. That one's in 3. This one is 4. But either way, let's continue on. I gotta find a way around this mud puddle. Oh, there we go. Now, an interesting fact about Mount Ka'ala is it's actually not all that rainy. It's certainly not as rainy as the rainiest spot in the Ko'olaus, which gets over, I think, 280 inches of rain a year, which is super high. Here, I think it only technically gets 80 inches of rainfall, which slowly betrays how lush and green it is up here. But you need to remember, a lot of the water here comes from fog drips, so the air, I guess, orographically lifted and forced to condense, but it doesn't always precipitate. A lot of the vegetation up here ends up catching it, and it ends up condensating upon it, creating this thick fog that surrounds us, which greatly contributes to the total moisture content that ends up feeding on, nourishing all the plants here. Ours is really good, the Broussaisia arguta. They call it arguta dentata. I really hope I didn't do that because that's stupid. It's Broussaisia arguta. See, it's got some opposite leaves, I believe. That's a little hard to see, but trust me, it does. Have really nice thick leaves. Those, when they bloom, will look very much like hydrangea flowers, if you are a gardener and know what those look like. Right here we have a, unfortunately dead, Trematolobelia. I believe macrostachys is the second part of the scientific name. It's one of the great famous of the Hawaiian lobeliids. The genus Trematolobelia only has 4 species, and they stand out from the others by having branched inflorescences and infrutescences. As you can see here, as it a fruit, but something seems to have killed it, unfortunately. Not sure what. Now here is a species of Cheirodendron, which is a member of the family Araliaceae. I'm going to guess that this is most likely Cheirodendron platyphylum. We typically have leaves that are wider than they are long. We also don't have any tooth margins, which, I mean, this one doesn't, so I'm going to guess that that's what it is. And one feature you can use to tell it apart from most of the other plants here is it's got palmately compound leaves. Very cool, almost sort of octopus looking. I mean, the genus Styphelia has them as well, but I think I'm dialing my phone right now. Gosh, it's so wet right now. Yeah, my phone keeps, I mean, because it's so wet, tapping the emergency number, which is really annoying. But I don't think I have any good service up here, so maybe it won't show. Oh, look, there's the blooming Broussaisia flower. That's lovely. Either way, member Araliaceae, that's endemic. The genus is almost completely endemic to the Hawaiian Islands, though there is one species that is found in the South Pacific. So almost endemic, not quite. Okay, that cool plant with the big leaves down there is unfortunately a species of Hedychium, I'm pretty sure, which is the invasive gingers in the Hawaiian Island. Man, these Trematolobelias have really seen better days, but either way, they're some of the worst invasive species, and I really hope we don't end up taking over here to hopefully get some people up to control them, because it's really a nauseous invasive species in the islands. And people really like the shampoo ginger, but it's really not a good plant. I mean, it's good for shampoo, but that's really about it. It's terrible, not native here, and people really ascribe a lot of value to it just because it looks pretty and has, I guess, one use for it. I wonder if this might be one of the endemic species of Hawaiian Plantago, which is about 3 or 4 species of the genus that are endemic to the Hawaiian Islands, which is kind of interesting. It's a bit of a temperate genus. There's actually a surprising number of temperate species that have radiations in the Hawaiian Islands. Some more now. I just gotta be really careful here because I just spent the past 3 minutes clearing out my camera lens because it totally fogged over, and I do not have anything I can really dry it off with that many times. I'm gonna have a hat that's very dry, and I just left behind my raincoat, so that was awesome. I gotta go back and get that. Okay, I got my raincoat now, but before I move on, I'll talk about this plant really quick. This is the other native species of Cheirodendron on the island of Oahu. There's like 5 or 6 that are endemic to the Hawaiian Islands, but only 2 you will find on this island, I believe. Another cool feature of these islands, there's a lot of species that are only endemic to one or a couple of islands. You're right, this is Cheirodendron trigynum. You can tell it apart from the other one because it's got leaves that are much longer than they are wide. I mean, not much, but like 2 or 3 times longer at least. And they have tooth margins, you can kind of see if you look very closely. Still got palmately compound leaves, but yeah. So there seems to be something parasitizing the Broussaisia arguta there. Either way, you can find a lot more plants because we might be doing in a second is just mentioning plants by the genus name, like this tree fern here, probably just species Cibotium. Oh, actually, based upon its glaucous undersides of the leaves, is most likely Cibotium glaucum. There's like 4 or 5 species of Cibotium tree ferns you can find in the Hawaiian Islands. The only genus of endemic true tree ferns, not that the whole genus is endemic, but the species are. Well, I guess there are some Sadlerias as well that can technically become tree. Whoa, okay, I just tripped over something. Gotta be a little more careful. This most likely is an endemic species of Hawaiian bidens. It's got, it's got pinnately compound leaves. I'm really misspeaking a lot here, unfortunately, but it does have very characteristic Asteraceae flowers. They're like bidens. Now, bidens is a genus of plants that have seeds that very easily distribute and blow away on the wind, but the ones that arrived in Hawaii have since evolved to have much larger seeds that can't really go far away. It's an interesting feature that a lot of the plants that are endemic here, though they arrived by the wind, have since evolved to basically lose that wind dispersal mechanism. It's about like 20 or 25 species of bidens now in the Hawaiian Islands. There's been, I think, a few discovered since the last update to the manual of the flowering plants of the Hawaiian Islands, which is the best reference for flowering plants in the Hawaiian Islands, at least naturalized ones or native indigenous ones. See, the Styphelia tameiameiae is quite abundant here. Well, I believe if we go further along towards the end of the boardwalk, we'll realize, or they become less abundant, if not completely absent. I don't know why, but I do remember that from the last time I was up here when I wasn't able to make a video. I think this sort of grass or sedge-looking thing is one of the native Hawaiian irises, like a Dianella or Duaniella. I can't remember what the genus name is. I really should have researched more when I came up here, but that's what I believe what it is. There are also some, I think, Ganias up here, which are indeed sedges, which has a few endemic species, which has some indigenous and endemic Ganias up here. But I don't believe they have berries, so it's probably the native iris. I think it's an iris. I really know so little, but I feel a little comfortable actually just risking it, just because I know I will get all the information right once I decide to upload this video and do all the research and label everything. And I'm not trying to be wrong here or be confidently incorrect. Wow. incredible. And if this camera somehow survives this, I'm going to be really impressed because I swear it's probably going to break down any second from the moisture. Here's a great view of the Cheirodendron platyphyllum that has leaves that are considerably wider than they are long. It's a bit of a funny shape to them. I mean, I should say leaflets because they are palmately compound leaves, of course. But I think you know what I mean when I say that. Oh shit, I'm getting moisture on the lens again. Oh geez. Okay, I have to fix that in a second. Firstly though, another cool plant but I can't identify, but really hope I'll do it in post. Such a cool place. The other common tree fern you see up here in addition to Cibotium glaucum is Cibotium zci, but there's also like a Cibotium camisoi and a few others I can't remember names of, or really even how to identify, as I already said. Wow. Moss hanging off of everything. It's a real cloud forest. I kind of wish I could go up to that super rainy point in the Ko'olaus, but it's just such a trek apparently, and it's like super muddy, and I think there might be some private land issues as well. I found when trying to research that trail. So it's going to be fine. I'm sure I'll eventually get up there and see all the native surviving stuff there. And there's also a much higher chance of you absolutely pouring buckets there because the thing about, or the reason why Mount Ka'ala, despite being higher up in the Ko'olaus, the reason why it's so much rainier is because, in the Ko'olaus, is because they really catch all the brunt of the trade winds that when orographically lift over mountains, get wrung out of moisture, and then they fall down the other side of the Ko'olaus, and adiabatically they warm up, reducing the humidity and creating a bit of a rain shadow. Now Mount Ka'ala is high enough to uplift the air again and recondense it, but they've already been wrung out of moisture for a considerable amount, so by the time they reach the Waianae Mountains, they just don't have much more precipitation to give, though it is enough to make it a bit of a rainforest up here and in other parts. And of course the west side of Oahu is one of the driest parts of the island. I think actually like Ava Beach in particular is really the driest area on the island, getting less than like 15 inches of rain a year. This vine I believe is a Smilax Melastomafolia or Melastomafolia. There are a few endemic species of Smilax to the Hawaiian Islands, and that is one of them. It is once again a genus I don't know much about. I think it's a member of the family Dioscoraceae, which includes some edible like root vegetables, as well as of course most Smilax species which are considered briars by most people. It's like a native ohellberry kind of plant, probably a vaccinium species or vaccinium, maybe Vaccinium dentatum. The berries are supposed to be edible and I believe delicious, just like other members of Vaccinium, which is really the same genus that includes blueberries and things like grouse whortleberries, which many people love to forage. Wow, my camera is so effed right now. This is so bad for my camera. I'm so glad I have my hat to dry it off at least, even though it's still probably going to be effed up by the time this is all said and done. Oh no! See, that's what I'm talking about. That's why you got to be careful standing up the trail here, because I just stepped in that and my foot is totally soaked now. That's so uncomfortable and gross. Ooh, that's a really big sedge. The Macarena. I would love to stop and just wipe this lens off, but I just can't right now. It's too big of a risk. Like, oh crap. Oh my god. Where's the main tree all around us, which I neglected to mention. It's too rainy to really lift the camera up and show you because I really risk breaking this thing. Is Metrosideros polymorpha, but I'm sure you guys already know that. That's the most abundant tree in the super wet rainforest, and really pretty much all the rainforests in the Hawaiian Islands that are still dominated by natives. Commonly known as Ohia lehua. It's an important plant in Hawaiian mythology and cultural traditions. It's just such a cool plant. It takes on many forms, can survive in many different environments, and is actually one of the first to colonize lava flows. So also another example of a species that got to the Hawaiian Islands due to its really tiny seeds, or I guess technically fruit, that can distribute on the wind easily. So they're most likely got carried here on the wind or been radiated into a variety of different species. At a peak of its diversity is in New Caledonia and New Zealand, but it's also found in New Guinea, the Pacific Islands, one species in South America, and one species in South Africa. Well, strangely none in Australia, which is a bit odd. This hurts my back so much. As you can see, but that rain's really bad and I can't take it anymore. I gotta put my camera away, but thanks for watching and see you next time, guys.